I was wrong to think that we were in the public when really we were in the private. And I was like a little bit like, how am I going to live my life if I'm not really totally understanding what is going on in the course of my life, living off the edge of glory like some kind of weirdo would. And this is my mindset going over many years online, especially if you want to try to understand Oatmeal Joey Arnold right now. I don't know what's got into you and why would you want to do that. I'm joking, but it's like, what's happening? And I'm thinking about this today, and I'm thinking about some of these things, and I would look at some things and online, these websites, and I would think, it's like we're in a play. It's like we're on a stage. It's like I'm the audience and you're the actors, and I'm talking to you, but they could be thinking totally different. Their perspective could be totally different. They could be thinking, well, this is private and you can't do this. And I've done so many different things. I'm trying to talk and it's not coming out. And sometimes things don't come out the way that you think they are or how they should, and it's a troubling sign of life and everything, and the hope for something that might be and could be but never becomes is a terrible thing to waste if you don't know what life is there for. It's a terrible thing. And I just wanted to explain a little bit of my story and my life going back so many years. Born in '85, and then started using the internet a little bit, like especially in the '90s, and then more so in the 2000s. And some of those websites I was on, big tech social media, Facebook and Zynga and MySpace and Bebo and all the other ones, and over the years doing it more and more online, and I was facing my can I say this, perception of reality. No, I'm not trying to sound like I'm on the Matrix or Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm just trying to say, like, I'm a man, baby. No, I don't know what I am. I'm a lot of things over the years, and my way of interacting with the people online was based on the reflection of reality of what I had offline. And especially like growing up and with homeschool, and then joining and entering into the public high school, and then a lot of people knowing me, and then going to college in New York from Oregon, and going there and meeting a lot of people, like 400 people, and not to say that everybody knew me, but my perception was like some people knew me, and then that started going to my head, and that's a good thing, that's a bad thing, and I started talking to people offline and then online, and then I was thinking, people are going to understand me, like people are not going to take me out of context, but maybe they do, and maybe sometimes they do. Like, I'm trying to tell you that all these things happen, and I'm not here to justify it. I just made a video about this where I'm talking for 30 minutes about this. I can really do, actually, I can talk forever about this, like many hours, and I do that, talking about stuff, and this is in context to some of the articles and videos that I've already made, and that I'm already making, and I'm thinking about all this stuff, and especially today, while watching Friday Night Tights, I think it's kind of interesting, like if you compliment somebody, especially the opposite sex, not that there's anything wrong with that or anything, only, but there isn't, but I'm not here to say anything about that, except to say, sometimes you could say something, and it comes out the wrong way, or they take it the wrong way, and then, they could say something, right or wrong, they could say something, anything, it doesn't matter, but they can say something like, that's creepy, you're creepy, because, like, like, you're creepy, like, not you, but you, but, like, not you, but you, like, it's like, things can be taken out of context. It's like we know that, and it's like, we all know that, but it's like I kind of knew that, but I didn't know that. It's like, it's one thing to know something, but then over the years, it's like you develop experience and wisdom and stuff, and it's like looking back, or retrospectively, it's like you look back and you realize, like, oh, wow, I did this, well, I did that, and maybe I shouldn't have done that, what was wrong with me, or maybe there was nothing wrong with me, but yeah, you gotta really, like, pick your battles and mind your business, as the girl would say, because she learned that from Will Smith in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like he taught her what to say. What was her name again? The youngest one. And I want to say Whitney Houston, but it's not her. Just pops in my head. And you say mind your business. You gotta mind your business and stuff. And that's how the cookie crumbles when you don't mind your business and pick your battles well enough. And so there have been times where I did things incorrectly perhaps, or I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but you could look at some of the stuff that I did and think to yourself that it's not a wonderful life, it's not a beautiful world. What a wonderful world that we live in, unless if you're being taken out of context, and I am, but everybody is, and so it's a normal thing, but it's also important to understand that you are sometimes taken out of context, and you gotta understand what that means and the value of knowing that if it happens to you, it probably happens to a lot of people, including ourselves. And I have to tell you something like how wrong I've been, and not wrong, and I'm trying to tell you there's a lot of nuance, and I'm not trying to sound like a girly man. I might sound like a girly man, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I'm thinking about all this stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I was taking out of context and stuff, like I'm thinking to myself, like maybe if I complimented people in the wrong way and people took it the wrong way at times, and I've done this, off and on over the years, and there's so many different ways to do it, different variations. There's the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. What I'm talking about, like you try to compliment somebody, when a man tries to compliment a woman, like, oh, you look pretty, you look good, you look nice. There's a line that you can cross, and it could be like perilous. It could be something that you don't want to cross, kind of thing, and you may not know until you get older, kind of thing. And some people may never become mature enough to understand where the line is, how you can cross it, and do things incorrectly. And I know that I'm probably stating like the obvious, like I might be stating the obvious right now. So what's the point of the video? I don't know, but I kind of wanted to get this out. I already made a video about this. I wanted to make another video where I was talking a little bit faster and trying to summarize what I already said, but I don't think I can really say what I already said again. I already said it, and so now I'm kind of saying it again, but when I talk faster, then I'm not really saying it in the same way, and I'm losing it, and that's the same thing that happens in life when you're talking to people and interacting with people, and it happens whether you like it or not. It kind of happens, and I talked about that already, and I think it's critical to understand. And I made a big emphasis in the other video that I was in the public, like a town square. In my mind, I was thinking that when I was interacting with the people online, and I was mostly interacting with the people that already knew me in real life, but then I carried that on to how I interacted with everybody online, and I never stopped. And so my mindset going on from then was always, oh, people knew me, or they should know me, or if they don't, then that's their problem, kind of thing. And that was my mindset most of the time, generally speaking, from the early 2000s online. I mean, before that it might have been different when I'm in like the Yahoo chat rooms in the 90s, the AOL chat rooms and instant messengers. I was a little bit more of the thinking like, oh, I'm talking to strangers and I have to introduce myself every time to random kids. And it was mostly a dating experience kind of thing, and it was new for a lot of people. But then, moving into the early 2000s, a lot of the interactions was with the people that you know, and that's what I was doing. And so it's like going on somebody's Facebook wall, for example, would be like talking to somebody who's on the stage in a play, and kind of like waving your hand and saying, hey, how you doing? Or think of like you have your friend and sees like the host of her own show or like a podcast on YouTube, and you're in the live chat and you're saying hello, and they say hello back, and you could say a variety of things, but you're basically in the public. And that was my mindset in regards to a lot of things online, is that it was in the public. And a lot of it is in the public, or there are people who are spying on you kind of thing and taking the data whether it's public or not. And there's a line between what is public and private, perhaps, but nonetheless, that was a philosophy that I had, whether I knew it or not at times. It was mostly subconscious, I think, but looking back, I can see it. And I'm not here to say whether or not I was right or wrong or whatever in regards to some of the things that I said or all of the things that I said when I'm talking to people, all kinds of people over the years, and especially online with people that I knew and people that I didn't know, but my mind was thinking a little bit of this and a little bit of that at times, and I was fluctuating, and this is important for me to understand when I'm looking back at my life. And for anybody who wants to understand, and I'm not saying you need to, but it's like, this is my life, and this is my pipe, and everything that I say, I am a random person, I'm a scientific person, I'm also a goofball, and so I'm a little dualistic in the way that I live my life, because there's an artistic side, and then there's the scientific side, and I'm always like, clashing, I'm always bumping heads and butting heads with myself, because there's two sides to me, and that's why some of the stuff is so different from each other over the years. The content, the videos and articles and memes and photos and everything that I do over the years, and the lore and lack thereof, or whatever, like it's always going back and forth, and so there's a dualistic thing going on, competition between myself kind of thing, and people not knowing me may not know that, and then there can be a lot of different opinions going on about me over the years, or for anybody who's not taking the time to look it up, and the older I get, the more I realize some people are not going to do that, and some people are not going to do that with a lot of things, whether it's looking at me or something else, like you don't do your homework, and that's what people do, and I don't do it all the time. If something is really important, then you might want to investigate and do a deep dive, go into the rabbit trails of a person or a thing or an event to really understand something. Otherwise, it's like you just move right by and you go right along and you continue, and you might hear about it every once in a while, but you might not be curious. The older I get, the more I realize that a lot of people are not deeply curious about everything or too many things, or I don't exactly know, because I don't think like a lot of people, or some people, I don't know how many people, because I haven't done enough investigation scientifically to know exactly, but I think it seems to be that a lot of people are not that way, but there are some people who are a little bit like me, and not to say that we're all the same, but there are people who are critical thinkers, not to say that the other people aren't, but there is a decline in the sphere of critical thinking and everything, and I'm not here to really just like talk about that. And like I already made a video about this, about talking about how I see people in the public online, and even though they can look at it as personal, even if it's not personal or not, or is or is not personal or private or public or whatever the case might be, you can argue, like we can argue what is Facebook or what is MySpace, like what is the wall of your profile account on Facebook? Is it public or is it private? Well, if you have it set on public, then it's public. If you have it set on private, it's private. If you have it set on only your friends can see it, then it's partly private. And there's all these different settings that you might see now, right now on Facebook, for example. That's just one website, one app, for example. We can look at that, we could talk about that, for example, to argue and debate about public stuff versus private stuff, like what is it, or how private is it, how public is it, kind of thing. And you can look at the settings on Facebook, for example, and some of that or all of that may have not been around originally. And so like when I first started going on Facebook, they didn't have it, or they didn't have as many different settings. I would imagine, looking back, I imagine, and I could be wrong, but I imagine that they didn't have any settings except for the fact that you have to log in. Basically, you had to log in to see it, or maybe I could be wrong about that. I don't know, because I know now you can see some things depending on the privacy settings and everything on Facebook. There could be ways around some things depending on whether you're looking at a Facebook group or a Facebook page or a Facebook video or a Facebook post or a Facebook profile account. And there's a difference between an account and a page, and sometimes people kind of they call things whatever they want to call it, whether it's a page or a profile, and they kind of conflate things at times, which is normal. People do this, it's like knowing the difference between one cat and another cat, and then a scientist person can be like, well, actually, there's a difference between that cat and this cat. And you're like, they're both cats. And that's kind of the same thing with like the difference between a profile and a page. And here I am geeking out about it. But and that's another thing about the dualism within my mind, going back and forth between details and generalities. And I do both when I'm making videos and everything else. And I love it, but sometimes people may not be able to keep up, whether it's me talking about something that is general or specific, or whether it's me talking very simple or talking in code, and I go back and forth. And one of the problems I've had in my life is not telling people which one I'm doing at which time. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but for the most part not so much. And as I get older, I try to think about that. I try to have that on my mind. I try to think, okay, how do I talk more clearly? And sometimes I thought about that before, but one of the things that I would do would just I would just try to talk slowly, and I was thinking, oh well, that's probably enough. And I will take the time to explain what I'm trying to say eventually in another video or article or something. I had all these things in my mind, whether I'm writing something for myself, for a blog, or making a video, or if I'm making something for somebody, like some kind of encouragement article or something. I'm kind of thinking about some of those things over the years. I'm kind of thinking about those things. I'm kind of thinking, well, I'm gonna explain it later, or they already know, or they can ask me if they don't know, or we'll figure it out later. Or a lot of it might have been like I wasn't thinking about it. I don't know how often I thought about it. Sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. But it's important to note that, and I want that in for the record. This is my second video on talking about this. And just wanted to quickly talk about how when I was online over the years, I would talk to people as if we were in the same room in a public setting, whether that's a play or a concert or some kind of wedding, or just fill in the blank, something that's public. Use your imagination. It doesn't matter. A public town square, a big market, you're around with a lot of people, and you're shouting the other person, and the other person is like a celebrity, a famous person, and people talk to them all the time, and you're talking to, let's say it's Will Smith, and you're here, and Will Smith is over there, and you're just like, yo, Will Smith, wow, you're so cool, and he's like, okay, or maybe it's Britney Spears, and Britney Spears is over there, and you're like, wow, you're so beautiful, Britney, and she's like, oh, okay, thank you, whatever, it's like, whatever, it's like people talk to me all the time, right or wrong, that happens, that has happened, it happens, and in my mind, that's what I was doing when I'm talking to some random person on Facebook over the years, or another website. That's my mindset, and I'm not so much talking about private messages. I don't think I'm talking about that. I don't think so. Not to say that we can't talk about that, but I'm not really talking about that because I always understood that a private message was private, but when I'm commenting, when I'm posting on somebody's Facebook wall, on somebody's timeline, or another website, I'm thinking this is public. I'm thinking I'm talking to Will Smith. I'm talking to Britney Spears. I'm talking to an actor, a celebrity, even though it could be just a random person that you never heard of, like some kind of classmate, some kind of private citizen. It's a personal, private person. But to me, they were a celebrity because they were my friend and I knew them in real life. And so I was thinking about that a little bit consciously at times and a little bit subconsciously at other times. And sometimes I don't know which at times. And I valued friendships that I had with a lot of different people, but I didn't always take the time to explain that to people because I was always busy. I was always overworked doing so many things in my life at the same time and not making time to do things that were really important for me and for other people. And I gave myself too much work. There was a lot of times in the early 2000s where I was sleeping only 4 hours and I was just running around all day doing things, like especially during college I was doing work study and I was working like for most of the meals, and one year it was like all the meals I was working in food prep, or actually I was just a dishwasher, and in the morning I was the greeter, I was the counter, counting the people coming in to eat breakfast, and so I was doing all these jobs for work study in West Virginia especially, and before that it was in New York during my first college, but I was always doing that, and then I was doing school and doing homework, and then I was running around playing basketball and hanging out with people and just running around doing things all day, and then I was online and trying to update my MySpace and everything else too, and so I had all this I'm thinking about all this, like all these things going on at the same time, and I'm rushing around and giving myself too much work at times. Like I would try to do all my work, all my homework, all on one day, or because I was trying to think ahead, and so there were times where I was like, okay, here's all the work that I need to do for the fall season. I'm going to do it right now, and I'm going to try to get it all done right now. And I'm like, okay. But then I wanted to multitask, and so I wanted to like listen to things and try to get things stuck in my head, and because I was trying to multitask and get like a bunch of things done at the same time, and it ended up like backfiring, and then so my mind was very fragmented at times, even though my intention was okay, perhaps. I think, at least at the time, I think I was trying to go in the right direction, and I was, but also really like worried at times, or just overworked and tired and working really hard, and then I was worried about paying the bills for my intuition. I want to say intuition, my tuition. I wanted. I was trying to pay back my student loans, and didn't want to end up like a 40-year-old man with millions of dollars owed to all the schools that I went to, and so I'm thinking about all that, and then I was trying to make videos and everything at the same time, and upload videos too, and so I'm just rushing around, and then sometimes I'm interacting with people, and so I'm just saying things really quickly, because in my mind I was a celebrity regardless of whether or not I was or wasn't, or whatever that I am or am not, whatever that I was or was not, in any degree or variation therein, whether I'm exaggerating or not, whether I'm full of myself or not, whether I'm being too cocky and prideful or not, like whether I was a little bit famous or infamous or whatever that I was at different times over the years, and especially during college, as that was a formulation of what kind of person I became online. That was a big part of who I was becoming online. My online presence was being added to. I already had a little bit of an online presence before my college years in the mid 2000s, from 2004 to 2007. During those years, especially, I was online, and like more so than before, I was online a lot more, and I was interacting with people a lot more, and for good or for bad, I was doing all these things, and then that added to the kind of person that I was becoming as a young man in his early 20s. I turned 20 in 2005, and I was online, and I was living my life and thinking about all these things in school and working and everything that I was doing, and trying to interact with people, and thinking about all the different relationships and friendships and everything that was going on in my life, going over the course of many years. I was just rushing into so many things, and I'm sure this is true for some people. I don't know, but for me, I didn't really give myself time to think, but a lot of times I didn't know that I needed time to think, and I was already thinking too at the same time, but I think I needed more time, even though I didn't really want to, because I didn't think there was anything to think about. And sometimes I kind of knew, and sometimes I didn't know, but I needed more time to sleep, I needed more time to eat, I needed more time to sit back and get a perspective on all the decisions that I was making, like all the choices I was making. Like, it was just mind-boggling, everything was happening. I think that what I did was a little bit good and a little bit bad, and I think it's kind of cool looking back at it, but I think that talking about it and writing about it is valuable, and I feel a little bit better talking about it. Until next time.